Hi, my name's Ben. I'm from Tunbridge Wells in Kent and in the UK, and this is the story behind my little Omega Chronostop. So this watch is from 1969. It's all original apart from the band that it's on. It's got the paperwork with it as well, which I just think is so cool. And I got it from the original owner who lives in my hometown. And like me, he's a fellow space nut. And he bought it in '69 because he couldn't afford a Speedmaster. So he bought a Chronostop, which was sort of the sort of next best thing. And I think the coolest part about the story and his connection to it, and I think of this every time I look at the watch, is that how he actually used the chronograph feature to count down the Apollo 11 timer, the final minute of the timer, which I just think is so cool. But this has also been the watch that's really sparked a passion in watches and horology for my girlfriend. And she wears it all the time and loves it. And there's a little scratch on the top of the lug that was the first sort of big scratch that she put in it, and she freaked out and I laughed at her because it's just a scratch. And every time I look at that, I think of her as well, which is really lovely. And it's really been there from the highs and the lows of everything we've been through. The stresses and the worries and the good times, and none of that is encapsulated more than in January I started a project where I sort of traded from a little Casio F91W up to a Rolex, and this was part of the last trade. I kind of spoke to my mum and sort of said, like, do you mind? And she said, look, go for it. If it's what you want to do, go for it. I fully support you. So I did the trade. It was all set up. It was all ready to go. And then I was at work about a week before, and I got a horrifically panicked phone call from my girlfriend, who's in floods of tears. She could barely speak. And she said, I've lost the watch. I've lost the Omega. I think it was in my bag, and I think my bag's been stolen. I don't know what to do. And I naturally, like any normal person would, burst out laughing. I was so worried that something bad had happened to her, or something serious had happened, that when she said it was just the watch, I just was so relieved that I just couldn't help myself but burst out laughing. I was just sort of thinking, look, it's just a watch. We can get another. It sucked, but we can get another one. And then out of nowhere, this bag turned up. Watch was in the bag, all fine. The deal for this Rolex went ahead, and it was sort of felt like a really big milestone, and I massively regretted it. And then I think it's really funny how life works, that about a week before I was planning to propose to my girlfriend, this little watch came back into our lives, and the guy that I traded it for said, hey man, money's a bit tight, do you want to buy it? Do you want to buy it back? And I jumped at it. I paid way more than I did the first time round when I bought it. But it's not about that, and I really don't care. I'm just so glad I have this thing back. And it arrived about 3 days before we set off to Cardiff, where I ultimately proposed. The Omega was back on the wrist. It felt so good to have it back. That's actually where I got this little blue NATO, from a little market stalling in the middle of Cardiff. And it's stayed on this strap ever since, and it's going to stay on this strap because it's sort of like my engagement strap, that makes me think of that little trip. And yeah, it's just, it's gone through a lot, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's sort of spawned me, and sort of to get engaged is quite a big thing. And it gave me a fantastic excuse to pull the trigger and buy my next grail on the list, which was a Seamaster Professional. So I've had some fantastic memories with this. I feel like now it's time to retire this watch a little bit more, keep it a bit more safe, keep it in the watch box in the safe, and start building some memories with this one. And we'll see where this little SMP 300 takes us. But thank you so much for listening to my story about my favourite watch. Yeah, have a lovely evening. Thanks.